Good morning and welcome to Focus on the Bible. I am so glad that you are listening. I want to begin by inviting you to our services at Eastside. Meet at 9 o'clock for worship, followed by Bible classes for all ages at 9:30, and then at 10:30 for a second period of worship. In addition, we meet at 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights for Bible class. We'd love to have you come and visit with us soon.
In Ephesians 5 and verse 33, there the Apostle Paul writes, "However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband." What is the worst possible Valentine's Day present that a man could give his wife? Well, a London newspaper ran a poll to asked women to send in terrible gifts that they had been receiving on Valentine's Day. One woman got on Valentine's Day a wheelbarrow. What a marvelous gift that is. That was topped by the woman who received an ironing board cover. So practical. You can see the value of that. Need that ironing board cover. Another woman said on Valentine's Day she got a bathroom scale. That's going no place good. Okay, I'm a man. I kind of thought that wheelbarrow was cool. Bathroom scale, not so much. But the winner, hands down, was the woman who for Valentine's Day received a tarantula. Nothing says I love you more than like a hairy spider. Wow. Well, this is the time of year when there's going to be lots of talk, social media and the press, about guys buying stuff for their girls, husbands buying stuff for their wives for Valentine's Day. Got to get the right gift, got to be all romantic, jewelry, chocolate, flowers, all those kinds of things. Got my wife a Lego set for Valentine's Day. I already gave it to her, so I know she could build it this weekend. But I'm asking you this morning, ladies, what are you getting your husbands for Valentine's Day? Well, hopefully the answer isn't a poisonous spider or an ironing board cover. What are you going to give your husband? This morning I want to suggest to you that the Bible gives us some direction, some instruction that will empower you to give your husband the best Valentine's Day present ever. That's not a steak dinner. That's not a brand new pickup truck. Not even something from the frilly pajama store that's going to cause all kinds of romantic fireworks. The Bible knows about gift giving. The Bible knows a lot about love. And the Bible knows a lot about fireworks. That's the book of the Song of Solomon. But the best gift that you can give your husband on Valentine's Day or any day is right there in our text in Ephesians 5:33. Paul says that the wife needs to see that she respects her husband. What every man wants is respect. And there is no person he desires that from more than from his wife. The greatest gift that any woman can give her husband is her respect. I repeat that, there is no gift, nothing as meaningful and as powerful as true and genuine respect. As a bonus, wives, when you give your husband that, you are fulfilling the command of God and pleasing the Lord. So what are you giving your husband on Valentine's Day? Have you thought about giving him respect? How much consideration have you given to that? This morning I do want to unpack respect in marriage and talk about why that's so important and what that looks like and what that means, and even make some notes about how our society undermines that and therefore at the same time undermines the foundations of marriage itself. Now, maybe I should say this too at the get-go. As we said this morning's lesson about the Hebrew writer and his sermon, that preventative matter there, not saying there's a problem of respect in marriage. I'm going to say it again. Not saying there's a problem of respect in marriage. Not saying that at all. Right? But it is what we want to do and want to think about. And maybe I shouldn't have to say this, but yes, Valentine's Day, I know, is not found in the Bible. It is a man-made holiday created by the greeting card and flower people to sell stuff. But after having said the official snarky things about Valentine's Day this morning, if our society says, let's take a day and focus on those that we love. Let's take a day and focus on our marriages. Let's take a day and focus on even rekindling romantic love. That's a good thing. The Bible is pro-marriage. And the Bible is pro-love in marriage. So if our society is going to do that, then let's take advantage of a chance tomorrow to make our marriages stronger. And Ephesians 5 and a bunch of other passages come together to say, ladies, what you want to give your husband on Valentine's Day is respect. Let's talk about that. First of all, why is it so important? You need to know that nothing matters more to men than respect. I'm going to go to Esther, the first chapter here, to show you that. In Esther chapter 1, we read about a king who has some problems with his wife. In Esther 1, the king commands Vashti to make an appearance at a banquet, and we're not sure all the details about that. We don't know everything that he meant by that and what was going on. What we do know is Vashti refused to appear. She did not come at the word of the king. And what's interesting about that in Esther 1 verse 15 is that that leads the wise men in the kingdom to realize that a serious problems will develop from this. In Esther 1 verse 14, these wise men come and they say to the king, verse 15, according to the law, what is to be done to Queen Vashti? Because she has not performed the command of King Ahasuerus, delivered by the eunuchs. Then Memucan said in the presence of the king and the officials, not only against the king has Queen Vashti done wrong, but also against all the officials and all the peoples who are in all the provinces of the king. For the queen's behavior will be made known to all women, causing them to look at their husbands with contempt, since they will say, King Ahasuerus commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him, and she did not come. This very day the noble women of Persia and Media who have heard of the queen's behavior will say the same to all the king's officials, and there will be contempt and wrath in plenty. What the wise men focus on is not how can we comfort the king? Can we send to the royal harem and get him another girl? What are we going to do about all this? The wise men, being wise men, say what just happened is going to set a precedent in the kingdom where every man is disrespected. All men are going to be treated with contempt like this. They are concerned about the breakdown that will occur in marriages all over the Persian Empire without respect, because they understood that respect is the lifeblood of leadership. It is absolutely essential to leadership. You must have it. If you do not have the respect of your followers, the only way to make them follow is to coerce them or to force them to do so, and that never ends well. It will not work long term. It does not bring good results. Leaders have to have the respect of their followers to do a good job. And just think about it. Look around a number of organizations, and you just see very quickly how important respect in that organization is, especially to men. Look, for example, at the military. United States Army, perhaps maybe the most masculine organization in the world, they dress for respect. Have you noticed that? Why don't everybody from generals all the way down to the lowliest privates, why don't they all just wear the same thing all the time? Just wear combat fatigues and a brown t-shirt. We're good. We're done. Why do they wear all the braids and bars in the collar and oak leaves and stars and stuff on the hat and all that? Because everybody needs to know who the leaders are. Why? So they can show proper respect. In fact, in the military, if you don't show proper respect, you don't snap off that salute, there are severe penalties for that. But that's not just the military, though, is it? When a new coach comes in, takes over a team, what's he wear in the first team meeting? Right? He wears his Super Bowl ring, wears his national championship rings. Why? Wants the team to respect him. There's going to be some changes made. You may not like the changes that I'm going to make, but I'm the coach. See? See what I can do? Respect my leadership. Respect is absolutely essential for any leader to lead. Well, let's get the Bible here in Ephesians 5. Let's go back to Ephesians 5. Let's look there at Ephesians 5 and 23. There, Paul says, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body, and is himself its Savior. You got to have respect to lead your wife. It is almost impossible to say, ladies, how important that respect is to your man. But in a national study that was done, men were given the choice between two different horrible experiences. Which would you rather go through and endure? Being alone and unloved in the world, or feeling inadequate and being disrespected by everyone? What would you rather? Alone and unloved or disrespected? It wasn't even close. 72% of men said that they would prefer being lonely and unloved to being disrespected. In fact, I didn't need a survey to know all that, right? If you know anything about our armed forces, you know that consistently when soldiers are interviewed, when books are written, when documentaries are shot, when they ask soldiers, how did you do it? In the presence of enemy fire, how did you keep moving forward? Men being killed all around you. What makes a man go when everything about you is saying, turn around, run? Consistently, soldiers say the same thing. Doesn't matter the era. Doesn't matter if you're talking about World War II soldiers, Vietnam. It doesn't matter. They're not fighting for the flag. They're not fighting for country. They're not fighting for family back home, or maybe that's in the back of their minds somewhere. But consistently, soldiers say, the man next to me isn't running. I'm not going to be a coward in his eyes and turn around and run. I want him to respect me. Sometimes we say, oh, I'd die to have that. Or, oh, I just die to have one of those. Men literally died on the battlefield because they do not wish to be disrespected by the men that they are around. That's how important it is. And when you look at Ephesians 5, what your husband needs is your respect. Because the task that he is called for is incredibly difficult. Leading a home and family in this world is unbelievably hard. And yet men are called to lead or head the home, to be its leader. And we're going to do that sacrificially. Verse 25 tells us we do that the way Christ did it. He gave himself up. He died for us. And in order to operate in any sense as the leader of the family, we have to have the family's respect. By the way, one of the things I do want to point out to your husbands that we have to love our wives as Christ loved the church, gave himself. That is sacrificial. That means we sacrifice for our families. We put them ahead and their needs ahead of our own needs. That's number one here, Ephesians 5:25. So don't say this lesson was all about bashing women. This is, hey, we're in this too. In fact, it is so essential that in Timothy, when Paul discusses the qualifications to be a shepherd, to be an elder of God's people, if that man does not have the respect of his children, he cannot serve because he cannot lead the church either, because he doesn't have respect. In 1 Peter chapter 3, notice how Peter puts this. In 1 Peter 3 and verse 1, Peter says, likewise, wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives, when they see your respectful and pure conduct. Now let your adornment be external, the braiding of hair and the putting on of gold jewelry or the clothing you wear. But let your adorning be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. For this is how the holy women who hoped in God used to adorn themselves, by submitting to their own husbands, as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. And you are her children, if you do good and do not fear anything that is frightening. Look at verse 7. Again, likewise, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered. If you respect your husband, what you do is you empower him to honor you. You are taking your place in God's marriage roles. And that enables him to take his place that he can lead as you respect him.
Please join us next week for the continuation of this lesson. Until then, have a great week.